Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Jackson. This is Chapter 1, Section 1, Part 1. We're looking to answer the question, what is a function and how do you know it when you see it? So the main thing is a function relates an output to a given input. So the function is some kind of rule or equation. And we have our inputs going in and we have our outputs coming out. And we call the input variable, generally we call it x, although it could be t, and the output is usually called y. And the inputs, the x variable is the independent variable, and the output is the dependent variable, dependent on whatever the input is. And we call the collection of all of our inputs the domain, and the collection of all of the outputs the range. So I'll just come up with an example function here, something linear, easy. 2x plus 1, if that's our linear function, we can write that function in two different styles of notation. The first one is you're very familiar with two-variable equation. So we would write that as y equals 2x plus 1, or the output equals twice the input plus 1. And the other style of notation would be called function notation. And so in this example, we would write f of x equals 2x plus 1. So this here is pronounced f of x. In this course, we'll be using F, G, H, those are the most common letters. The first one you would always use would be F for function, but it's really meant to show that your output is completely dependent on whatever value your input X is. So this is most of the function will be described this way in this course. Not all equations or rules are going to be a function. So a function can only have one output for a given input. If there happens to be an equation that results in two or more outputs for an input, that's called a relation. So that would not be a function. And a circle is a good example of what a relation would look like. There is a quick test that you can use just visually looking at a graph to determine whether or not it is a function, and it's called the vertical line test. So let's see how that would be used. So if I had a function when graphed looks like this, it happens to be called a parabola. We'll be looking at that the whole year. And I drew a vertical line straight up and down anywhere through that graph, left or right. I can move that line left or right. If I only hit the output in one place, then that would be a function because there's only one output for a given input. Another example, we'll be looking at polynomial functions, kind of a strange curve like this. If I move a vertical line anywhere along that graph, I only hit the output once, that's a function. In contrast here, if I have a circle and I draw a vertical line, you can see here easily that it's hitting there in two places on that curve, so that would be an example of a relation. And one more example here, if I had something that looks like this and I drew that vertical line, you can see it hits twice, that would be a relation. Okay, hope this helps answer the question, what is a function and how do you test for one?